Hello beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. In today's video we'll be learning how to make this beautiful detachable African print Ankara detachables. Oh, I said that twice. Blouse. All right, so we'll be drafting the pattern and we'll also be making the sewing tutorial. Stay tuned. All right guys, so for this outfit we will be needing a basic bodice pattern, just the half scale. If you haven't seen my basic bodice pattern video, I'll be dropping the link in the description box. All right, so from the armhole we'll be going down by 1.5 inch. All right, and we'll also be going from the chest line, we'll be going up by 1.5 inch also, and then we're going to make a smooth curve using our curve rule from that point. All right, so after making this curve we go ahead and cut it out. I will not advise that you use a free hand to draft out the cut. So guys, from this point I already went ahead to place since I'm using the front bodies, I placed it because I'm going to be cutting out the back before I cut out the front. So since the neckline of the front is different from the back, I went up from the front neckline by 2 inches, and then from the side of the front, I mean from the middle part of the front, the center, I went out by 1.5 inches for zipper allowance, and that's actually 2 pieces. I'm cutting 2 pieces on fold because I'll be splitting the allowance I left for the zipper. And then from the side I just went out by 1 inch, and then I went out by 0.5 inch on the shoulder part and the armhole line, and I also went out by 0.5 inch on the M line, which will be used for the sewing allowance. All right, so I'm going to be cutting, after cutting out the back, I'm also going to be cutting out the front in this way too. The only difference is that I'm going to be cutting the front on fold without slashing the zipper allowance part. I'll be explaining that in details. Alright guys, so that just simply means after cutting we would have 2 pieces of the back pattern and then 1 piece of the front pattern. That means the front pattern will be cut on fold. Take note of cutting the front pattern on fold. That was why I cut out the back pattern first before cutting out the front one, because I wanted to use the front bodies to cut out the back, because the back neckline is different from the front neckline. All right, so from this point we'll be cutting out the front, and then we need our fabric to be on fold. All right, so guys, I just went ahead to add allowance to the M line, the armhole line, the side and the shoulder line, and then I cut it out apart from the zipper line, which we don't have for the back. Yeah, alright guys, so I also went ahead to cut out lining pieces for each of them. So from this point we'll be working on our sleeve, and if you haven't seen my how to draft a sleeve pattern video, I'll be dropping it in the description box. I'll be dropping the link. All right, okay, so what I did was I slashed my sleeve pattern into 2. Like, I decided to use one part of it, which is the back pattern, and the measurement I'll be working with is 20 inches because that is like the residue of material I have left. That's the residue of fabric I have left, you get. So if you want yours longer, you can make yours longer, but mine is 20 inches long. So I just went ahead to measure 20 inches and then I cut that out, and I'm going to be using the slash and spread method after cutting this out. Alright guys, after cutting I just went ahead to divide the wrist part, that's the lower part of the sleeve, into 3 parts. It doesn't necessarily have to be equal, but make sure they are just of the right proportion. So, and then I'll be dividing the upper part too, and I'll be drawing a straight line across it. So I decided to divide the biggest part of the sleeve, which is the armhole line part. All right, so I just did that, and then I'll be drawing a straight line across, which I already did, or which I am doing, which I'll be slashing. I'll be using a scissors to cut across this line, and then we'll be able to use it to achieve our flare sleeve. All right guys, so when cutting, let's just make sure you don't get to the end of the armhole. Leave like at least half an inch there when you're cutting, so that you don't have pieces. It just makes it easier for you when you're slashing. So from this point, we'll be placing our fabric on fold. Make sure your fabric is on fold. All right, and then I'm just basically going to use what I have left of the fabric to make the flare. So I just went ahead to pin down, and I'll be spacing the three papers just to form the flare. All right, so guys, from this point I was still trying to determine how much space I needed for the spacing of the sleeve, and I decided to use 4.5 inches. Like I said earlier, I am using what I have left of the paper, and don't be worried about the hemming allowance, because I already added sewing allowance. That's sewing allowance to the sides of the sleeve when I drafted the sleeve, so I wasn't worried about that. I just used everything I had, and then I decided to join the point using my smooth curve. You can do that with freehand. It's not really much of a big deal. The reason why I slashed the down part was because I was cutting two pieces. I was cutting the two sleeves together. All right, so guys, after cutting, this is what we have. And remember I said I cut two pieces on fold together. All right, so from this point we'll be starting the sewing tutorial. We will be placing the lining piece right side. Am I saying, yeah, that's the wrong side. So the right side will be, the lining will be covering the right side of the fabric, and then we'll be sewing along the neckline and the hemline. All right, we'll be taking the half inch which we took from it. We'll also be doing the same thing to the back. Okay, difference is that for the back we'll also be sewing, like we'll be closing the zipper side too. So the only thing that will be left open is the armhole and the side here for the back. All right, so at this point I had already sewn the neckline and the hemline of the front and the back, and I had also gone ahead to close the zip parts for the back. As you can see, this is just what I was explaining earlier here. So I just went and sewed in that line, or in that way. So I'm just going to be turning it over to the right side, and then I'll be ironing it. I'll be pressing it flat. Okay, I'll also be doing that to the front side too. So guys, just make sure you iron as you sew. It just gives you a neater work. It makes work nicer and neater. It gives you a better result. All right, so as I was saying, after turning to the right sides of this fabric of whatever I was working with, this is what I had. So I just went ahead to press them, and this is what I have currently. The next thing we'll be working on now is the shoulder. When I ironed, I also went ahead to take out the measurement I had left for the zipper, because I had already turned in half an inch, and I had just 1 inch left because I used 1.5 inches for the zipper allowance. So guys, the next thing we'll be doing is joining the shoulder, and we are going to be we'll be joining it in an invincible way. Just watch how I do it. I've tried to make the video as slow as possible. You can watch it over and over again so you get what I did there. So I placed the back on the front, and then I took the lining part and turned it over on the front part, and then I just pinned it down. So I'm going to be sewing 1/2 inch, which I took when I was cutting out the fabric. I'm going to be sewing out that 1/2 inch here. I'm going to be joining it, using that 1/2 inch to join it across the line, and then when it's turned over to the front, there will not be any fabric at the back or the front. So this is exactly what I mean. This is what we have right now. As you can see, it just makes work neat and clean. Like, it gives you a neat, nice finishing. Trust me, if you can join your shoulder like this, then you are good to go. Like, you don't have to think about interlocking. And I already went ahead to join the zipper side too, which I ironed down, because when I losing out that part, I'll be using that as a guideline to join my zip. Guys, this is like a hack. It's a very nice hack that works. You can try it out. When you want to join out your zip, you can just join it, press it down first before losing it. You just see that it just helps. It makes joining of your zip easier, because you can just follow along the needle lines that you have there. So from this point, guys, we'll be joining the sleeve, or we'll be taping the hem of our sleeve. Okay, so we'll just go ahead to use our bias tape to tape the hem line of our sleeve. So guys, from this point, our hem line has been taped. If you don't know how to use a bias to tape, or you don't know how to use a bias at all, I'll be making a separate video on that later. So now that our sleeve is ready, I already went ahead to press the hem line which I taped. We'll be joining the sleeve to the actual body. So guys, from this point, I already determined the midpoint of my sleeve, which I notched, and then I placed it on the midpoint of my shoulder. That's the armhole starting from the shoulder, and then we're going to be sewing from the middle down to the right side, and then from the middle down to the other side. So I'm going to be doing that for both sleeves, and when I was done, this is the outcome of what I had. This is what was like. The blouse was already coming into shape. All I had to do next was join the sleeve down to the body and then fix the zipper. That was just what was left. So now from the hem line of the sleeve, I'm going to be holding down the 1/2 inch allowance I added for sewing allowance, and then when I got to the bust point, because I added 1 inch there, I just went with the flow, and then I went ahead to add the zip. So guys, this is the finished product of what I have. As regards to the zipper, I advise that you use open and close zip, because it makes it easier for you to like wear and take off. That's just the best option. That is what is perfect. Anything aside this is going to be too complicated. So guys, this is basically the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please do not forget to subscribe, like. If you have any questions, you can drop, and if you want me to make a video of me making the zip or fixing the zipper, just let me know. Thank you so much, guys. I love you. Bye.